I mean, I've made 3 times as much money as I was at that corporate job. And so it's just like wild how much more money I'm making and how much more I can be with my kids. And so that was always my dream. Like I wanted to be with my kids more and I wanted to make more money. And yeah, I mean, I made it happen. So that was really exciting.
Hey parents, welcome back to Parenting on Purpose, your podcast for parenting out of the box. Super excited. We have another mom entrepreneur with us this week, Miss Casey Howard of Flourish for Moms. Casey, how are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing wonderful. Nice to have another East Coaster with us on the podcast.
Yes, exactly.
I'm a little further south than you, but that's okay. We're pretty close. So I'm really excited to have you on the show. And parents, we have such a treat today because it's so easy to talk about the things that you've done, right? In hindsight, it's 2020. I love talking to moms who are entrepreneurs, who are in the thick of building something incredible, because it just shows where most of us are on our journey. And so, Casey, you represent that. And I know you have something really special to offer the guests at the end. So parents, please hang on to the end of the podcast. Casey has something cool to share with us. And last plug, if you enjoy these podcasts, we find amazing people like Casey. Please hit subscribe. Join us every week as we share the journey. All right, Miss Casey. So over to you now. I'd love for you to start off by describing a little bit about who you are and what you do in your life to show up on purpose.
Okay. So my name is Casey Howard. I'm the founder of Flourish for Moms. We are a self-care brand for moms. And how I show up on purpose every single day, I've created a habit of every morning getting up before the kids do. So, you know, for someone, it could be maybe 20, 30 minutes before. I prefer an hour before. So I get up an hour before the kids, and that gives me time to have a moment to myself, have some coffee in peace, and journal and manifest everything I want out of life. So that's what I do every morning, and that really honestly helps me just to like not be so stressed all the time. Like I can't wake up when the kids wake up and be thrown into the crazy. I've got to get my head screwed on straight beforehand in order to be the best mom. So that particular habit has been very, very helpful for me.
I'm very glad to have you on the show because every single person has like literally said they've had a morning routine, and I've tried several times, and I am starting to develop my own. But you said you have 3 kids.
I do.
And how old are they, Casey?
They're 6, 4, and 2.
Oh, wow. It's amazing. So what does that look like for you then? What time are you getting up? What time do your kids start to wake up? Because they probably all have different times, I'm assuming. They all kind of wake up different days.
So I get up at 5, and then I have to wake my girls up, who they will be in kindergarten and first grade. I wake them up at 6. So that gives me an hour.
Full hour.
To get things done. And then my little guy, he goes to preschool, so he starts a little bit later. But he usually just wakes up when they do, on his own accord. But yeah, I get up at 5 in order to get myself, going. And it is early and it's challenging to first start it out. But if you get over the hump of like 1 or 2 weeks of doing it, I just get so excited. Like I get so excited about getting up in the morning and have a moment of peace.
It's your you time.
Coffee by myself. Like that's what like motivates me to get up, just to have that sacred time to myself.
It's so true.
Yeah. So it starts at 5 a.m. for me.
5 a.m. It's so motivating. And I've read the 5 a.m. club, and I know there's like the miracle morning people, and like, it's so true. And I agree with you. And I love that you made a journal for people in this journey. I literally have my journal sitting next to me, and that's the same practice I do, which I think is so cool. It's so cute that you said that. Like, you go to dinner, like you go out with, you go out and you're listening to like couples, or you're with a girlfriend out, on a girls' night. And it's like the first thing you do is like you miss your kids and you start talking about them. Yet what we crave and what we all need is a hot minute of alone time to really enjoy. Yeah, it's so funny that's
like my only guaranteed moment of time to myself, honestly, because I know they're not going to get up at 5, but every other waking minute of the rest of the day, they're going to be right there. So, yeah.
That's amazing. That's cool. Well, thank you for sharing that. And it's true. And then you said it so perfectly. It helps you to show up on purpose with them. Now you don't feel reactionary. You're not running into life out of reaction, or maybe just a little bit bitter because you didn't get the things done that you really wanted to.
Right.
So that 5 a.m. routine, it consists, you mentioned coffee, you mentioned journaling. Are you doing like meditating? Are you working out? Are you getting one or two tasks done? Or like, what does it look like for you?
So it's always get up, get my coffee, and grab my journal. And the first thing I do is I sit down and do my journaling. So I'll write out my goals for the month, week, and day, and then I manifest, you know, big and small goals.
Awesome.
Just all these things I'm thinking of what I want in life, whether it has to do with like this next week, this year, or 20 years down the road, whatever. So I do that first thing. And then when I'm done with that, um, I do like to either read a whatever book I'm reading. So they always have to do with business. So they're usually a motivational book or a book about habits or what have you. Or if I'm not going to be reading a book like that, then I'm usually doing a few tasks that I need to do or get done before the day starts. Um, a lot lately has been to do with this new business, Flourish for Moms. So I've been working a lot of different things for that business early in the morning, just to get ahead. So that's what the morning looks like for me.
The reason I ask that is so many people listening to this, right, are parents. And most of them, I venture, have something else going on. They probably have a thriving career at work, children, but there's either a vocation or a hobby or a business or a passion that they're exploring.
Right,
And I love it's kind of the concept's not old, but the concept you learn in college about like paying yourself first, but not doing it with money. You're doing it with your energy, which obviously then means you're doing it with money. But first is like you're investing into yourself.
right,
This is the time for you. And I love that. I think that's so imperative as a parent, not only to show up with your kids, but also just to feel like you're not a one trick pony. I think we love being a parent and we love all the beauty that comes out of it, but we might not always say it, but we just feel like we're enslaved to parenthood.
right,
And it's of our own doing. It's absolutely of our own design. And this gives you an opportunity to take pause and to change that direction so that you can still march toward your dreams happily and be a great mom.
right. Yeah, I know. So many moms, they just, I feel like, I know one recently when I did a Facebook Live about my journaling routine every morning, and so I was teaching these other moms how to do this, and one of them afterwards, she was like, I feel like she was almost a little embarrassed or just kind of upset at the fact. She was like, I don't know, I don't have any goals to write down. I don't know what I want. And I was like, that's okay because this happens to us as moms. We just lose who we are. It's okay if
Mhm.
you don't know what you want. Just like start writing or thinking about really anything and it'll start spawning. But yeah, it's important for us to just not forget about ourselves and have goals and dreams that fill our cup. Um, it definitely makes it a lot more exciting to get up every morning. Having something that you're excited about and looking forward to, for sure.
I think that translates so much into being a parent because when you're like, so I have two children. I have a 15-year-old who my husband and I adopted, and she came into our life like literally. My husband and I were on our second date, and he's like, "Hey, I have a niece. I'm like trying to get custody of her," and I was
Yeah,
like, "Explain what's going on." And long story short, she became our daughter, and the best thing that's ever happened to me. I say it every podcast, but I
yeah,
was 22 and
yeah,
like just brand new adult out of college, just living life the absolute like idealistic highest.
yeah,
And just my idea of like life, it's just there's no I wasn't jaded, right? It was just so fresh to being
yeah,
an adult. So I feel like now that I have a 3-year old, I'm very cognizant to live in a way that is pleasurable and fun, but I can just see it. And now I see the difference so much, right?
yeah,
Because the way that we show up in our life affects your children and it
yeah,
affects the way you parent them. If you're teaching them like there's nothing good out there for them, right? And if that's the way you feel, then you can lie through your teeth and tell them something, but they're not going to believe. They're going to feel what you
yeah,
exude, right?
right.
So interesting. And I love that you said with the journaling, you are rewriting your goals every single day.
Every day.
And long term and short term intermediate. Like this is my long term goal. And it's kind of almost like this is how you're going to get there.
Yeah, and you know how I write them? I write them as if they've already happened to me.
Mm-hmm.
So like
I've heard that.
instead of saying I want to have a podcast, I write I have a podcast or whatever it is, you write it like that and really like put yourself there.
So and is so you can explain like that's the power of the third person because you're kind of claiming that reality even though it you don't see the
Yeah.
results of it yet, it's still there as a tangible reality. You
Yeah,
just
you're manifesting it.
exactly.
Totally. Yeah.
That's awesome. That's so good.
Yeah.
I love it. What else came out of that Facebook Live that people were like? What feedback did you get, or what was like different for people when they journal? Because I think journaling, meditating, those are some of those terms that people want to weave into their morning routine,
Right.
and it's almost like I feel like it's so of an all-encompassing term that people sometimes don't know what to do, or they'll sit there with their journal and they're like, "All right,
I
now what?"
know. Yeah. Yeah, I just went through what I showed them what I do every morning and so I don't know if you would necessarily say like there's like prompts, but it's a certain method of how I fill it out every morning. And we just kind of went back and forth, and I let people, comment and share if they felt like sharing about what their goals are. And we just discussed all that. I had really good feedback. And, like I said, I did have one of the moms that was just kind of like sad because she didn't know what she even wanted. So I think it was just like a good eye opener for really all the moms to understand that we still have to think about ourselves and what do we want out of life. And if you don't know, it's okay. Like, just get your wheels turning and you'll get there.
Exactly.
Get
And
more motivation.
it's a practice. Self love is a practice. So
Yes.
I saw this meme the other day, or something on TikTok. It was from a movie, but I'm not a millennial, so I don't know what movie it's from. But it's like this girl and this like woman were like slapping each other, and the quote was like me healing my inner child. Like there's like no, it's like there's like no trust, and they keep slapping each other. So it's like if we don't show up and practice the
Yeah.
self love, that's why it's not easy at the beginning, and that's
Right.
okay because we have to develop that inner relationship again the same way we
Yeah.
have with our kids. Like if you want to have a good relationship with your children, you have to show up every single day. It's the same thing with yourself, and then
Exactly.
that starts to flourish is a great name, right? That inner desire, that inner drive, that inner version of yourself starts to really blossom, which is
Yeah.
cool.
It's so true. Yeah. And you just become a better person all around. But just like, I just feel like I'm such a better mom in general that I'm thinking about these things that I want for myself. And so I relay that to my kids and let them know, like, you can do anything you want. And, it just, they feed off of your energy, right? So yeah, um, yeah, it's cool. It's exciting.
There's this like vision of an entrepreneur, at least when I was growing up, right?
Hmm.
And it was like that you see like the really cool, like sleek looking adult with like all the toys, or you see like the person who's just like really struggling forward. And I equally as a kid like saw them as entrepreneurs. But what I think is so interesting now that I'm a parent and we're
Hmm.
launching these brands and we're doing all these things is like the way we show up and the whether it's a sport, a book that we're reading, a business that we're building, the school our kids go to, the church we attend, whatever the thing is, the energy we give it, our children start to develop those feelings around it.
Right.
What I love about your story, Casey, is how you grew from, you were a 9 to 5 type of job.
Hmm.
You decided you wanted, and I want to let you walk people through the story to where you are today. First, went through your studio, right, where you do photography, which is such a cool thing, especially for newborns. And now
Thank you.
you're building into this brand for moms and self love.
Right.
But it's like through that journey, you're discovering who you are, and you're like loving yourself forward. And I think like you won't even see the fruits of that until your children, especially your girls, are like young women because
Yeah.
you're showing them it's okay to want more out of life and to be happy with the unfolding of that. Like I think sometimes we get so impatient and we want to like rip out the flower and see, the roots haven't even taken hold
Yeah.
yet, right? And it hasn't become what it's supposed to. So yeah, if you want anything you want to share about that journey, I find that really motivating personally, and I love sharing those type of stories with our audience because as I mentioned at the beginning, we're all here to grow and learn and strive for something, right? The
Right.
flourishing version of who we are.
Um, well, when you were talking about how our kids, so my girls, I mean, they're 6 and 4, but my 6-year-old especially, she has already like caught the entrepreneurial bug, I guess you would call it,
Love it.
from me just like telling her all these things that I just like, I really do. I think whatever I want to do, and then I go do it, and I teach her that like you can do whatever you want, and she has like such a long list of things that she wants to either like make or sell or do, and I just love that because I feel like all kids need to know that like you can take that path if you want.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's really exciting to see. I can't wait to see what she becomes because I can already tell she's like something really. She's gonna do something really amazing.
That's so
But
awesome.
yeah, yeah. So we'll see. She's only 6, but we'll see what happens.
It's like the physical things, right? Like she'll go out and do something cool, but it's like you want your kids to know that they have the internal capacity to be what they desire in this
Yeah,
life. And I've been an employee, and there's nothing wrong with having a W 2 as your only source of income if that fits your
right,
lifestyle and goals. If that's totally fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But I've been in that mindset where it's like you have to, somebody else dictates basically your worth, for the lack of a
right.
better term, or how much you can create. And that never sat well with me. And even though I still have a W 2 form of income that I love,
Yeah,
and I actually show up there every day because I enjoy what I'm doing and not because I have to, um, it's just interesting to feel the different energy that's behind it.
such a different energy.
And you show up differently as a parent, as a spouse, as a mom.
You're just honestly so much more excited about life. At least me, compared to when I was working a corporate job. I don't know. It wasn't for me. And like you said, it's fine if you have a corporate 9 to 5 job, but for me, I just felt so much more passionate about the things that I wanted to create, and so I honestly couldn't wait to get out of there. While it was like a very wonderful company to work for and it was great
Awesome.
people, I just was behind the scenes, just ticking away, creating my own my alternate life was behind the scenes. Yeah, so eventually I did get to quit that
Gold.
job. That was exciting. Yeah.
So why don't you share that story with the audience? Because
Okay.
I mean obviously they don't have the same relationship we have as backstory.
Sure.
So when like what made you decide you were going to make that move? When did it kind of take hold? Yeah, go for that.
So, I was working a corporate 9 to 5 job before I even had kids, and it paid the bills, but it just was not very fulfilling. Um, I wasn't passionate about it, except for the fact that like I need to go there and show up to get a paycheck, right? You got to pay the bills. Um, but I always felt like that's not where I would always be, and I would end up doing my own thing. And I always had a passion for photography, um, and just kind of started really honing in on that I liked doing that. And so I just started taking pictures for my family and friends, and then eventually, started charging people for it and was doing it on the weekends. It was like, my side
Cool.
hustle, whatever you want to call it. So when I wasn't at work during the week, I would do photo shoots on the weekends. And my dream was to build it up, enough to get enough business to where I could just eventually quit my 9 to 5. And I did end up getting pregnant with my first child, and she was born in December 2016. Um, so, I was not busy enough with that photography business yet. So I wasn't able to quit my job yet, which was very sad because I had to go back to work after my maternity leave. Oh, and that was just the worst. And so I told myself, like, my goal is the next, because I knew I wanted multiple children, right? So I was like, the next time I'm pregnant, when I have this second baby pops out, whenever that may be, like, my goal is that I do not have to go back to my corporate job. And so I just really hustled. Um, a little less than 2 years went by, and my second child, Millie, was born. And I did get to end up leaving my corporate job. I remember making that phone call. I went on my maternity leave, and my plan was to just not go back. And so I did have to make a call and tell them that I was going to quit. But I was excited for myself because I had like worked up this business enough to where I was
Exactly.
actually making. enough money to make ends meet. And as it turns out, I mean, I've made 3 times as much money as I was at that corporate job, and so it's just like wild how much more money I'm making and how much more I can be with my kids. And so that was always my dream. Like I wanted to be with my kids more, and I wanted to make more money. And yeah, I mean, I made it happen. So that was really exciting. I went full time here at the studio in 2018. Um, so that was the beginning of my, venture into like working for myself.
Right.
Um,
So before we get into flourish, I want to
sure.
pause and do two things here because
Okay.
it's just three kind of points I want to make. One is like you ever hear those stories like the baby elephant and you like put it in the ground with a stake and the baby elephant like circus elephants or however they're captivated. The elephant tries to pull and it can't break free of the stake and
Yeah.
it's a baby. And now it's grown into this massive 2-ton animal, which could easily rip out the stake and all the entire circus surrounding that stake, but it
Yeah.
stays on the ground. It's like the same with like fish after they hit the glass so many times, they start to see their self-limiting beliefs. And now you take the partition out, but they won't go past that area. It's like
Yeah.
they're just conditioned like this is their box.
Yeah.
And when you said that about leaving your job and then making 3 times as much, it's like it's so we self-impose these limitations that are not real
Right.
on us. And I love having people on to like remind us of that. Like whether your goal is to stay employed at the same employer until you're old and gray or to do something else, it's fine.
Yeah.
Understand like there's whether it's in a job or not, the limitations. I can't get promoted or this or this. These are all self-imposing limiting beliefs that
Right.
are not real. And I do believe journaling has helped me really come to terms with just managing my mind. Like
Right.
what are those thoughts I keep telling myself? And then I'll once you write them out, they seem freaking ridiculous,
Yeah.
right? You're like, geez, like I'm letting that hold me back. Like I don't like the way my teeth look. Like what? Like it's whatever. Like whatever the stupid thing is. So I love that you said that. And then the concept of having both. Like I know so many people. Again, it's a limiting belief thing, but like it's not just really about the money, right? It's really
No.
about the freedom and the options that the money give you to be with your family.
Yeah.
And when you I just finished reading this book. I think it's like Serrano, the "You Are a Badass at Making Money."
That's
Jen,
my favorite. That is
such
my favorite book.
that book is awesome.
I Yeah, I live by that book. That was one of the first books that I read that really got a fire under my butt and I was like, I
Yeah,
can do this.
I'm also Italian, so if someone wants to curse at me and then tell me I'm amazing, like you got me. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
but that's what she was talking about, right? In the book, like you once you understand like you can have both,
Yeah.
um like everything you want lies just on the other side of doing
Right.
something uncomfortable, which goes to get back to your morning routine and like getting out of your cozy bed and just getting a fire under your butt to go.
Yeah.
But I love that you live that example and that your kids got to watch it. They're probably way too young, but they still can reference it when they're older to
Right.
see that you went through that. Like that to me makes your stock in their eyes like skyrocket.
Yeah.
So good.
Thank you.
That's awesome that you like
Yeah.
that.
It was very important to me that I would be able to see my kids more, because I did experience, I told you after my first child was born, I did have to go back to my corporate job, and so I was dropping her off at daycare when I felt like it was like still dark outside when I would drop her off, and then you get to them at like 6 p.m., and that was just so sad to me, and
Yep.
so I made sure that that was not going to happen with my other kids, and I have been able to just watch all of them grow up, and they're still little. Just I've been with them while they're little, just so often, and I just feel really blessed that I can make both of these things work while also making so much more money than I was before.
It's amazing. I love
It's
it.
Yeah, thank you.
That's so good. Okay, so that's where you were, and
Yeah,
still in the spirit of positive discontent, right? You still want to grow and push yourself more, and it looks like the idea for Flourish really came out of your own journey of self love
yeah,
and running yourself ragged as an entrepreneur and understanding that there's a balance. So why don't you walk us down that journey
yeah.
to how you got to where you are now?
Okay, so Flourish for Moms, it kind of started, I guess I would say, late last year, late 2022. I was just really not feeling that good. I just felt, you know, how you do as a mom, just worn out, tired. You just feel not good mentally or physically, but you're not sick, and you're just like, what is wrong with me? So that's how I was feeling, like repeatedly. And finally, I just got so sick of it. I'm like, this like should not be my normal, but it is. So what's happening? And I just went on a whole path of self discovery, of realizing that I wasn't taking care of myself. I wasn't prioritizing myself. I have three small children, and so I was just really just had completely forgotten about myself. And so I went on a journey of, you know, figuring out like how can I take care of myself better, and realize a lot of things that it's like, you know, things that we all know. Most of us know it's a known fact that we need to get enough sleep at night. But are we really doing it? It's also like a known fact that we should be eating like healthy foods that are good for our brain and make our bodies feel better. But do we really do that? And, um, you know, all the things. Are you getting out and moving your body every day? Because believe it or not, like it's just crazy to me that I wasn't doing any of these things really. I was just like flying by the seat of my pants, waking up every morning, getting the kids where they gotta go, and just like it really took a toll on me. And so I started implementing
No
like
parent
all
listening can
yes,
relate to that. I'm sure every
yes,
parent here feels like no. Every parent knows that like you're like drifting through life, and you're like you feel like you're just like a bob on the water. You
right.
know.
Yeah, I just you know, I just was not feeling good. And so I started implementing different types of self-care throughout, like bite-sized self-care that moms can do that we should be doing anyways, but most of us aren't. I started doing this stuff every day in my routine and just
So good.
making it like a whole lifestyle change. Like this is a part of my life now. So I started, you know, making sure that I was waking up before the kids so I had time for myself. I would journal, you know, every morning, um, make much better food choices, um, you know, eating clean, healthy foods that honestly do things for your mind and your body that a lot of people don't think about that. And then also making sure I was exercising every day. So a lot of mornings I would go, you know, for a run around the neighborhood, or, you know, do some weights or something in the basement, just anything to get your body moving. And also I became very aware of like what time am I going to bed, you know,
Mm.
because you get to where 3 months of my life, I feel like at one point last year, I binge watched Friends, which I've seen a million times. So why did I choose to binge it? I don't know. But it was like 3 months of my life where I was staying up so late because I had to know what happened to Ross and Rachel, even though I already knew. You know, like staying up way too late, getting up early, and just like, so I made sure, like, go to bed on time. I
What is
usually
on time for you if you
like 9 p.m., which sounds ridiculous.
makes sense? It's like
When
hours, right? You're trying to get 8 hours.
Yeah, so yeah, if I go to bed at 9 and I wake up at 5, then I feel great the next day. And I remember Grant Cardone, who maybe you've read some of his books, but I remember him saying, like years, 2 or 3 years ago, he was like, you know, everyone should just be going to bed at 9 because there's nothing else going on past 9 that you need to be doing. And I just thought that was so silly, like 9 o'clock. But here I am, and I can honestly say, like, going to bed at 9 is one of my favorite things. So yeah, I've just been making sure I get enough sleep, eating right, exercising, journaling every morning, and just other little things like vitamins so that I feel my best, a weighted blanket when I sleep to get my best sleep, essential oils, all the things. So I've been, you know, doing that stuff in my daily routine, which um, when sometimes when moms hear like, oh, you know, like you need self-care in your life, some moms think that I'm saying like you need to go to the spa, you know, like go on a vacation, like all these extreme things. But that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying you need to do these little doses of things for yourself every day, like in your daily routine. That's the kind of self-care I'm talking about, in order
Yes.
to really feel your best. And it's things that we all know we should be doing. Most of us know, but we're just really not doing it. And so I put my foot down and started prioritizing myself and feel so much better.
And yeah, and you see the difference in the way you feel and the way
Yes,
you show up and your business, right? The
right.
ideas for other businesses, like you just really do flourish in a lot of different ways,
Yeah. So that's how the whole business started, for Flourish for Moms. Was that whole journey that I went on, and a
right?
light bulb went off, and I'm like, oh, I my whole brand can be based on this exact story, and it's my story. I'm living it. So, what better thing to
To
teach all
share.
these other women? And so yeah, that's how the self care brand Flourish for Moms got started, and it's strictly for us moms who need to make sure we are prioritizing ourselves and taking care of ourselves, and it's all the products to help you do that. So yeah, it's exciting.
What I like about when you walk through your self care journey, right? Because I'll be super vulnerable and honest. As you know, I have a business that I'm building with my daughter, right? We're launching our snack brand here in the next few months. I
Yeah.
obviously have this podcast and I love doing this. I learn a ton. I meet amazing people. I get great feedback from our community. Like this is such an energetic transfer for me. So this is like a non-negotiable.
Yeah.
Obviously I have a job, right? That helps me pay the bills, and other things that I enjoy doing, right? And it's
Mhm.
like, it can feel very overwhelming to think about doing all of these additional things.
Right.
And what you said, a few things that I liked. One is like you said, bite-sized increments. I don't think you can like get up tomorrow at 5 a.m., jump in a cold shower, and just do these every single day. I think it has to be kind of incremental, and
Yeah.
it might start for somebody at a different place. But I find like it's an Easter egg of life. It's like a microcosm for other things. I find that when something applies in one area of your life, like a success principle, it can very easily be translated other places. And I'll give you
Yeah.
an example. For me, journaling was my gateway drug. Like
Right.
just journaling allowed me to start looking at my mind space.
Hmm.
What thoughts kept coming up? Are they serving me or not? And if not, like where are they coming from? Going deep enough to understand and then release those thoughts so I can choose better ones that are more in alignment with who I'm growing into.
Hmm.
But that quickly translated into what is serving me in my life. And it start, then you look at health and wellness and fitness and sleep, and like it just all starts to
It just
cascade into each other.
snowballs.
Yeah, because it's like it all feeds each other, right? And you have to be, I mean, it's kind of amazing all the shit that needs to go right for
Yeah.
us to feel great. Like it's a lot of like different things that has to like align perfectly. But, even on the mornings, like this morning, I get up early, I do my meditation, I'm journaling. My son wakes up right in the middle of my journal. I still feel like I got some time to myself, right?
Right.
But when I wake up and it's like I wake up next to him, which is great and special, and I do appreciate it because it's like he'll only be 3 once,
Right.
right? But then you easily start to feel so depleted. So I think it's just understanding where people are. But I like that you understand that, and it seems like Flourish for Moms gives you kind of a guide to like principles on how to get all of that into alignment so that you can feel better about your self-care journey.
Exactly. Yeah. For me, it started. Journaling was the first thing I really started doing, but then I think the next thing I started really thinking about was, going out and exercising. I would go run every morning. I remember it being very cold out. It was the end of last year. It didn't matter what temperature it was. I got those first couple of days in where I was running, and I was like, I feel really great. When you get done running, you're like, this is amazing. And so I just kept on with that, and then I started to really be like very aware of what am I eating. I'm like, well, if I
Mhm.
feel good after I run, then maybe I want to feel even better, and eat all the healthy foods, and just making better food choices. It all kind of falls into place, like you're saying. You just start with one thing
Exactly.
and then move to the next, for
And I
sure.
also think there's something to be said about like the perfect circumstances. And I was just talking to one of my coaches about this, where it's like, I don't know if it's a mom thing or an entrepreneur thing or like a Caitlin's a weirdo thing, but there is a thing where it's like I always feel like I need to be doing more. And
Yeah,
I had a friend once that I was like, man, I wish I was an octopus because if I had 8 arms, like, damn, I could really get some
could
shit
do
done.
so many things.
And she's like, no, you need to not. Like, you need to tie your arms together and stop trying to do because you're overdoing. And
Yeah,
I'm like, huh. And it's a very holistic kind of thought process. It's very like not traditional, like go get it America type, capitalist mentality that I'm talking about. But from like a long term sustainability, happy with thyself vibe. It's true. So my coach was saying, like, instead of in the business or in parenthood or whatever the thing is, always thinking that you're not doing enough, like, where does that come from? And
Mm-hmm.
where, how do you need to grow to be like, this is in its perfect time? And
Yeah.
that's such a cool thing to play with for someone who's super heady like me. And I venture also many women entrepreneurs who are moms and do 17 other things, because I think that applies to parenthood. It's like we always expect things to be done right away.
Mm-hmm.
And like, I even look at the way our kids do things. And when you practice the way you live, like if you constantly practice doing things right away, always more, 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 it's like it's so easy to try and bark your kids into doing something when they're experiencing the world in a whole different way. So again, this goes back to thought patterns, this goes back to journaling, and it's kind of just helped me. So I say all of that to say that this self practice of understanding my mind space really has helped me understand the way I interact, because now I can
Mm-hmm.
like strip my layer back, and I understand that a lot of the times the way I'm interacting with my kids or thinking about my kids or my spouse or my life or whatever really is more a mirror of me than it is of them. And that just
Exactly.
allows me to show up differently. It's very cool, right? But it's like a layering process.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I totally get that.
It's crazy. But yeah, and it all started like one thing at a time. So this is cool. Okay, so Casey, I would love to know as we wrap, like, what are you working on now? I know you have this big launch coming up.
Yeah.
Tell our viewers how they can get in touch with you, find you, get involved in what you're doing.
Okay, sure. So right now I just launched the our first product with Flourish for Moms. It's the Manifest Your Best Life Journal. It's basically the journaling that I do every morning. I created a very beautiful journal, all buttoned up, nice and pretty, um, for moms to use every morning to manifest your best life. So um, that is what I'm working on now. We are in pre-sale right now, so um, you can pre-order the journal now. Um, we are at our website is flourishformoms.com.
Awesome.
Moms like MOMS. I did hear recently someone told me and I had no idea. There's a Flourish for Mums. Did you know
Oh,
that?
that's with the U. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
with a U. I think it's more of a book than it is like a particular brand like mine, but mine is
Got
flourishformoms.com.
it. That's awesome.
Not to be confused. And so that's where you can find us. And yeah, pre-sale is going on right now. So for the
So
journals,
good.
yeah, in the future there'll be. I've got about four other products on my mind that will be released over the next year or two. We'll see. Um, so yeah,
That's so exciting, man. Well, congrats on the launch.
thank you.
Um, and are you launching on your website? Are you launching?
The journals are on my website, yeah. So that's where you can buy them. Go to flourishformoms.com. You'll see the shop, and you can go and find the journals there for sure.
That's awesome. Well, I'll put all your links and everything in the bio, so people can check you out. And we wish you the best of luck with the launch. And we appreciate you walking us through the journey today. And I know you're going to grow into some great places from here. So just definitely keep in touch with us and let us know how it goes. We appreciate you being a part of the show.
Yes, thank you so much. Anyone on your podcast that is listening to this and they want to purchase the journal, if you'll put my email, it's hello at flourishformoms.com. If they want to email me to get on our email list, then I will give $10 off of the journal purchase. Or,
Awesome.
if this is like years down the road and it's for a different product that I have launched, then $10 off of whatever product it is that you see. So, yeah,
That's very
if you
cool,
just
Casey.
want to put that in the notes, people can find it easily.
I will absolutely do that. That's awesome. I definitely think it would be something helpful. Right now, I just use a like a normal notebook, so I can't wait to personally try it myself as well. So thank you. That was very kind. And parents, you guys know the deal. We hear it every week, so we love hearing what you guys want to learn and going to find out amazing people like Casey. I recently had a woman reach out to us and share that she was super inspired just by hearing about other moms who are going through challenges and learning and trying
Mm-hmm.
to become more and add more value to the world. And it's just so in perfect alignment with the amazing women like you who just keep showing up here. So this is awesome. So parents, you guys know the deal. We'll see you next week. And until the next perfect time, everybody, stay beautiful and stay inspired. Bye,
Thank
guys.
you. Bye.